Welcome to Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talk.
Fargo Talks.
This is Fargo Talks.
Thank you for coming in again. This is Hayim 2.0. Part two. We had, and I think it was when I was downloading the original episode from Scott, I must have been in a place that had hokey Wi-Fi, and that it downloaded where we had an hour and a half episode, hour and a half of audio, but an hour of video.
Oh, so the video is what died out.
Yeah.
Ah.
Because the audio kept going, and it's a freeze frame at like 1 hour and 3 minutes in. And I'm like, oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
So thank you for, coming back.
It's my pleasure.
Coming back.
It's fortuitous for me.
How so?
I get to come back for round two so quickly.
It's true. You're actually, let's see, Mike Rowland is a Resi agent who I love. He was my first 2 episodes when I was getting my feet like underneath me.
Yeah.
But now, like, yeah, you're the
It's
first
like he was
one.
doing you a favor, so
He
you
was
can
doing
get
me
your
a giant-
reps
no,
in.
He was definitely doing me a favor.
Yeah.
100% doing me a favor. So now it's more of a,
Now I'm getting a cherry on top.
you are.
I know.
You are, but it's also, there's other stuff that's transpired like in the world and economy and other stuff.
And your life and my life.
your life. And I love your brain. Like you're somebody, there's only a couple people that I want to start having on here like quarterly just to say, hey, what's going on? What's your perception on this? Something I'm doing also is I've hired a new production team. I'm still keeping Scott. I'm still staying here at Level 9
that's
Studios.
on the front end.
On the front end of it, it is
Scott.
I have this Scott is the man.
Yeah.
I have a guy Max who's out of LA who does large podcasts, short form video production that I've hired, and this kid's amazing. And he now is looking at my old podcast episodes that do well, the shorts do well, and finding hooks. And he's going to give me a weekly call, going to give me questions, and I'm going to start doing Hayim Mizrachi to start having stuff in
I
front of me to say, hey, these hooks do well when you are having these type of conversations. That's what's...
So you're moving away from a little bit the totally not improvised. What would you call it? Well, how do you?
It's improvised, but I think it's more
unscripted. It's unprepared.
It's sharpening the spear that I am. It's still going to be me, but it's leveraging now. I've got over 400 videos dropped on YouTube last year. So it's taking what did well and going in more in that direction. So I'm not more of an untethered sale.
You're refining the approach.
Yeah. Which I love that. I'm 54. All these guys are in their like early to mid 20s that are in this field, that do all the production stuff. I'm like, oh my God.
Old age and treachery beats skill and youth any day.
Amen, brother.
That's a sign in my partner, Kurt Anderson's office. And I love it.
I believe that 100%. But it's to be older, but to be moldable.
Ooh.
I think that's a biggie, right? Because
Are you moldable?
yes, absolutely I am. I actually love when, so I have Max is doing the short form stuff. I have this guy, Christian of Austin, who's doing my thumbnails. All this guy does is YouTube thumbnails. And he has like, I'm going to say 10, 11 clients, but total, it's like 40 or 50 million subscribers on YouTube. So he has Whoppers is who he works with. And he was telling me my cataloging is not good for YouTube. I have no idea what that even means. But I'm like, okay, tell me what I have to do. Or are you going to do it for me? I'd rather write a check and you do it for me, bud.
Even better.
Right? And so that's the stuff I am entirely moldable. Because in this field, it's changing with AI and everything else. It's changing so fast. Hell yeah, tell me what to do. As long as you can give me evidence of where you've done it in the past the other way
That's the kicker.
and it's worked.
That's
if
the
you
kicker.
have proof
I want
of
evidence.
If you have proof of concept, you've got me. I'll be your Huckleberry. Hell yeah. But if it's just no, you suck. How dare you do it this way instead? No, show me where. Show me where you come from. So that's
So you got hooks coming, you've got cataloging coming.
Thumbnails. Something I've started to do, I just started 2 episodes ago. I was taking the thumbnail I was going to use, say it's you and I. It's bigger faces. That's a big thing. You have to zoom in more. I took a screenshot of it, put it in ChatGPT, and had it analyze the body language.
Oh, what did it say?
The one I did with Ali Hasib was great because I waited for him to go like this because I know that's like you're interested. He's doing this whole thing. And it said the one person is doing this, this, and this is very interested in what's being said. The other person, me, is lighthearted, funny, and saying something in a humorous tone.
I love the compliments out of chat.
Keep them coming.
She's wonderful.
Just keep them coming. But that's the thing is now I'm deferring to ChatGPT for anything instead of Google. As long as it's not dated, because you're only up until
To
April
me, it's
of
an
2023.
advanced Google search. So I was smoking a big piece of chuck roast yesterday. And to remember the details through the process, I'm going to chat to ask it the question because it's like having a conversation and it's giving me the answer as opposed to Google searching, scrolling through the various things, hitting those drop downs. These are frequently asked along with your question kind of a thing. It's so much more efficient. Who would have thought that we'd be saying that there's something more efficient than Google?
If you would have said that 5 years ago, I'd said you're nuts.
Google is a verb.
Google's
Hey,
a
go
verb.
Google that.
Xerox.
Right? Does chat have one yet? Is it chat it or is it GPT it?
No.
I think it's on the precipice
AI.
of having one.
LLM,
No, but
large
chat, I would
language
say
model.
chat GPT is the Xerox equivalent or the Kleenex equivalent. I mean, that's a tissue, not a Kleenex, but we call it a Kleenex because that's the brand. Same with the Xerox. Go Xerox this for me, not copy this for me.
I agree.
Google was a, category of one. Google this, Google that. Is it chat it? Will you chat it? Like tweet.
I've yet to hear someone say chat.
Is tweet going to exit?
No one's going to do X. Yeah, X. That's
Everyone's going to keep calling it tweet.
It's going
right?
to be a tweet. It's still Twitter, which I've gotten on there more now.
No, I'm hearing more people refer to it as X.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you on there a lot?
There's a podcast, not at all. There's a podcast I listen to called All In Podcast.
Yeah, I love them.
And those guys call it X on there, but they don't say exit. They still say tweet. Pull up my tweet.
Chamath Palihapitiya is my spirit animal.
Is he?
He's the one with the most fuck you money out of the 4 of them. I think he's the smartest one. He's the most well-rounded, and he always waits kind of for everyone to kind of say their thing, and then he just comes in and just drops some type of bomb, an intellectual bomb. And they're all like, oh, yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I like this podcast.
I love the format.
Mm-hmm.
I think J. Cal is he's the world's greatest moderator.
Isn't that funny how he brands himself like that? They all,
Yes!
they do this thing where they brand each other. But within that, I was thinking like Mr. Wonderful did that for himself on Shark Tank. And like how pompous I bet it felt at first when he's like, I'm Mr. Wonderful, I'm Mr. Wonderful. But now it's like everyone lovingly refers to him as Mr. Wonderful.
It's come full circle.
Yeah.
We have to
Well, it
look
happened
at,
way early, but like it's the same kind of a thing. I'm the world's greatest moderator, world's greatest moderator.
and you keep saying that, and next thing you know, it becomes a
They
self-fulfilling
say it in a
prophecy.
shtick kind of a way. Like Chamath is their what do they call him now? Their chairman
Dictator.
dictator.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
But
it
the other
works.
guy is the Sultan of Science.
Yeah, the Sultan of Science,
Right.
David Freeberg.
Freeberg. Yep. We should look at, was it this year they have those all-in summits? We should go.
You want to go?
In a second, I
We
would
should go.
In a second. I would pause funding my kids' college education to go to that.
How much do you think they are to go?
I'm sure it's not cheap, but I would free up
right.
up funds.
Bookmark that.
I think we have to look into that because
All right.
especially you and I.
Oh, it'd be a
How about that for a road
It'd
trip?
be fun.
How about that for a road trip and capture content?
That'd be fun.
That'd be a good time. I think it's like somewhere in the Bay Area or like
So each one of the guys, all right, so the All In podcast is 4 dudes. They're all friends. They're all exceptionally successful in various fields. Now I think all of them are investors, but they all have also certain businesses that they're in. And now Chamath, I guess, I don't know if it's Chamath or Jason that just became a CEO in one of the ventures because he likes it so much. Anyway, they're all into something business-wise. The podcast itself is 4 friends getting together to talk about current events.
besties.
And they debate things and they come at it from different perspectives and they don't tell you what to believe. They just bring the conversation to the forefront. And because of their success, they got like pretty much all the presidential candidates, not all, but pretty close. So they're very relevant. They had Jared Kushner on.
The Kushner one was great.
That was so good.
I'd never thank you for bringing that up.
That was so good.
I've never really listened to him before.
Because he's never really talked before.
He's always behind the scenes. And he's brilliant. I mean, love or hate the in-laws, he's fucking brilliant and so good at international diplomacy. He treats it like doing a deal, like he's buying a piece of property in Manhattan. Last time we were on, we talked about getting beyond the headlines, and this is a great example. If you just read the headlines around Jared Kushner, dad went to jail. He was accused of conspiring with the Russians for the election and had to defend himself for 2 years. And that's really all I heard of the guy. And he's married to Ivanka Trump. Congratulations. That's really all I heard. So if I'm just taking that all right, these impressions are now my opinion of this guy, and I leave it alone, like, how ill-informed am I? And so he was on their podcast. They referenced it, the All In guys. They said he did a Lex Fridman, which, is that his name? Freeman? Never heard of this guy before, but I heard Jared on the All In podcast. I went back to listen. It's 4 hours. So Jared sits down with Lex. Lex is a savant, by the way. He's like on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Savant.
Well, I've listened to a few of him now, and let's talk about the Mark Zuckerberg one after this.
Yeah.
He sits down, Jared Kushner and Lex sit down for a podcast on October 6th or 5th, I think it was, right before the October 7th attack.
Yes, because then they came back and shot more.
And then they re-recorded October 9th, and they put that recording in front of the other recording. So you hear Jared talking in real time, not virtually real time, about what this attack was, what the implications are, all that. And then he goes into the 4 years he spent in the White House in the Trump administration with his father-in-law, Donald. And Jared's job was international diplomacy. And oh my God, when you just unpack what they did and then reference back to, all right, love him or hate him, right? The record's the record. No major conflicts under Trump. Now it's like the whole world is in turmoil as we sit here early January 2024.
Economy booming.
Economy was booming.
Booming.
That you can, from president to president, you can always look at and say, well, he inherited the ramp for a booming economy and didn't screw it up. Congratulations. And Biden inherited the off-ramp of COVID and of course, right? You could do that from each baton, but the international diplomacy thing, you can't dispute. And so Jared goes deep into what the discussions were between like Donald Trump and Xi Jinping of China, and Trump sat down and said, look, I want to get some things done in 4 years. Leave Taiwan alone. Please just leave it alone. So I don't want to be distracted by it. I don't want you distracted by it. Just leave it alone for 4 years. Let's make some progress. That you have to admire, because
you do.
Nothing happened. And now just this morning, new president in Taiwan, and they're expecting China now to ramp up the pressure.
It is, and again, we're skewed because of who do you get your information from? What's their agenda? Yep.
Keep going. This is going to be this, by the way, is like the thing for this next generation, especially with AI. And I know you love the AI. These All In guys were talking about like the future of news. The future of news. So I can curate my own news with an AI eventually. That's where they're like, if you're visioning where it's going.
You'll be able to have, even because most people disseminate information in a video format. You'll be able to have a talking head of whatever sex, creed, color, nationality you want, in whatever flawless language you speak, giving you customized news feed information on any different subject in real time as it's happening.
And another difference is I don't have to wait for whoever at CNN or Fox News to decide what I'm listening to. I can interact with the AI and tell it, okay, enough of this. Tell me more about that. You know what? Double click here. I want to understand this issue further. So the question is, when you have that much control, when the world and the population has that much control over their news, Does it enhance this echo chamber of I'm going to only listen to the stuff I agree with, and therefore it will perpetuate the polarization where I listen to what I believe in, you listen to what you believe in. We will never find common ground because we're not listening to differing opinions. So will it exacerbate the echo chamber, or will it actually break it down? Because you can say, you know what, thank you for telling me that side, tell me the other side. Like with Israel and Gaza. Thank you for telling me why Israel's in this war. Now tell me from the Gaza perspective what's happening. Will people want that? Or not?
It depends how moldable you're going to be.
Oh, this is the word of the day.
It depends how moldable you want
Thumbnail, moldable.
to be. That's going to be like becoming moldable with Hayim Mizrachi.
Yeah. Jeff Fargo is moldable.
I am. You are. I think that anybody who, again, it's a big challenge as we get older because you become more solidified in what you've learned and kind of the tenets of your education and the foundation of who you are. But we always have to be open to learn from anybody, regardless of age or anything else.
You know what's interesting about that? So Joe Lombardo was a guest with NAOP Southern Nevada at the end of the year in 2023. So we have the Republican governor addressing this Association of Commercial Real Estate Development.
National Association of Industrial and Office Properties.
You got it, man.
Still got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're at the Orleans where the monthly breakfasts are. There's 300 people in the room and another 100 on Zoom. And Lombardo's talking about his term so far, what the issues are as it relates to this association, what he's done. And I sat back and observed, this is a man that is willing to change his opinion when given new information. And to me, like, that's what I'm looking for in our elected officials. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care where you are on the spectrum of belief. I want someone, first and foremost, that is willing to change their opinion when presented new information. And we as a community need to be okay with that and not canceling people because, oh, you said this and now you're a hypocrite. That's not how the world works.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want someone who's afraid of being labeled a hypocrite and won't change their opinion and won't change policy when presented new information. I want someone that's willing to do that.
Do you see that there is a groundswell now of kind of a pushback on the canceling?
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah. And
Often.
I'm grateful about it.
I am ecstatic about it.
Let's be clear. So there are unexcusable things.
Nazi coffee.
Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. No.
Sexual
Nazi
assault.
coffee.
Sexual assault, Nazi coffee.
Yeah.
What else is there? We're like 20 minutes in. I had to say it.
That's fine. So this is about moldable and Nazi coffee. We're good.
Bases covered. Check.
Check.
But I think that, yes, there's certain things that are like, in the Bible, it would say like a mortal sin. Mm-hmm. There's certain things it's inexcusable. Yes, we all know that, or at least most of us, if you have a brain, you know that. But a healthy disagreement and to have a discussion about that, but you come in as friends, you might agree to disagree, but you still separate as friends, that's okay.
Yeah, but it's also okay for comedians to do what they do and for us to be mature enough to say that's comedy. And they're not saying this to incite hate. The
Agreed.
art form of stand-up comedy is to be able to say things in a way that either bring humor to especially challenging topics or to give a different perspective. And that's why, like, the best ones are the ones that take us on a journey. Like, I love Bill Burr. I love that guy.
Bill Burr's great.
I love the composition of his jokes and the thought that he takes and the setups. You know, we were at his stand-up comedy here, his show here in Vegas, and he goes, all right, guys, this one's going to go dark. And he makes a statement. I don't want to give up the joke. I also don't want to mess it up. He makes a statement and everyone starts clapping. And he's like, I told you, this is going to get dark. So
yeah.
Like, you're going to agree with what I'm saying here, but you're going to end up in a place where you're mad at me. And he's like, it's like I'm opening the trunk and you're just getting in, and I'm gonna kidnap you.
There's an old clip of him, and I think it's Philly. And God bless Philly. Philly to me is a lot like New York City in terms of just opinionated. It's an old,
he's Boston. He's
old
Boston.
city, and he's a Boston guy.
Yeah.
But he was in Philly doing a show there, and he started to get heckled a lot, and he went off on the crowd, and it's like a maestro playing a Stradivarius.
I'm gonna go look this one up.
He just do Bill Burr hecklers Philly, and it's wonderful because he's just laying them to waste about just tearing into Philly. It was awesome because he doesn't care. He doesn't pander to anyone.
That's also his art form. If you get heckled as a stand-up comedian, you have to have technique to get the crowd back on your side.
Who's the first comic that you remember that you were like, whoa?
Eddie Murphy. I don't know how old I was. Certainly not appropriate, but I'm watching Raw. And what's the other one? Delirious. And I know them verbatim. And and then Coming to America comes out, right? And so I'm already an Eddie Murphy guy. I know Raw. I know Delirious verbatim. This movie comes out. And like you have the family gatherings, right? The aunts, the uncles, the cousins, and everyone's expressing their talent. And Aunt Phyllis is saying to cousin Rachel, "Oh, sing that song that you sing," and she sings it. And if there's someone who plays an instrument, they play the instrument. My mom would say, "Do the Coming to America bits," and I'm maybe 10, maybe 11.
Oh, and this is in front of your family.
In front of the entire family. And it's the whole thing. Joe Louis, greatest boxer ever lived. All of it. Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next?
The barbershop stuff was
Dude, that was everything.
But that whole movie, it's like that movie.
Man, you ain't mean no Frank Sinatra.
It's just so well done. And he's hysterical. Like I saw him in with Seinfeld's got comedians in cars drinking coffee. Him and Seinfeld was awesome.
Were they in a coffee shop in that one? Okay, I think I saw that part of it.
It's just him. And there's talk about him going back on the road to doing stand-up. I would pay whatever to see Eddie Murphy. That would be a bucket list, and he'll come here. I would see him.
What I love about that show and that particular one is you have Eddie Murphy and I feel like I have brain fog. Jerry Seinfeld talking about the art form and about the people, and you just listen to it without the defense of they're going to say something offensive and I have to cancel them. They're just talking about it.
Yeah.
And those little handcuffs that you put on the fingers, and if you pull, it creates resistance.
Chinese finger cuffs.
I didn't want to say it because I don't want to get canceled, but you could say it and you get canceled.
Chinese finger cuffs. Yeah.
You pull and it creates tension. And
That's an old Kevin Smith
stuck.
movie that was in that was the girl's nickname.
I don't know that movie.
Oh, I'll think of it. Keep going.
You push in, it releases the tension, and you could take your fingers out. So back to Bill Burr. I watched a video of him and 4 other, I think, comics and like a moderator. And they mixed it up, like where they're from, gender, and they're talking about where we are in comedy and this whole thing about why can't I say this and why can't I do that? And when I do this bit, why is it offensive? And it's probably 25 minutes of them just talking about the art form and the current events of the art form. And yes, they're throwing jabs at each other, and they're all offensive when they do that because that's who they are.
But that's their love language.
It's their love language. They're not doing it to be offensive. They're doing it. They're doing it because they're comedians, and that's what comedians do. They're doing it to make each other laugh. They're doing it for all those reasons. It's like, so intent now starts to mean something. Am I saying this because I want to cause a riot between one group and another? Or am I saying this because my art form is to make you laugh? But you listen to this, and it's like, I keep thinking about this tension in, tension out thing. If we keep pulling on each other and this polarization, we're never going to get anywhere. And when we come together and just talk, understand each other, it releases that tension.
It's interesting that I'm an eternal optimist.
Me too.
I really, are you?
Yeah.
it's a wonderful way to live. I just can't be like all the time. Now, yes, I'm a firearm owner, and if
Eternal optimist realist.
well, and if Barstow, Baker, California, is that where the alien jerky is? Or Pahrump, we're ever to invade West Henderson, I've got us. I've got us.
Go to the Fargo fort.
Thousands of rounds of ammunition.
We're
I
good.
have high-powered rifles. I have an assault. I've got it all in a safe, all, very secure. But I'm also very much greatness, supersedes fear, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the direction we're going, there's a lot of fear going on. With look at the Houthis right now with shipping lanes in the Middle East. Was it Suez Canal? Where stuff's going on. I was at Bloomberg this morning was talking about it. And, we're fighting against people that have been doing this for years, and they're using our weapons are like multi-million-dollar drones, and they're using like $20,000 rockets and shooting our stuff down. So what? All right, how do we need to learn from this? We need to be moldable. We need to learn. But we need to learn from this. Or
Listen here, America.
We're going to get our asses kicked.
You gotta be moldable.
Again, and nobody wants another freaking Middle East conflict. We just got out of one. We're there for 20 years. What the shit? But I think that there's so much, and this is a JCal thing, there's so much ingenuity and greatness within the United States of America. There's so many smart people that are good. I think people are genetically wired for good. You're taught bad. You're taught racism. You're taught hate, for the most part. And I think that what's coming now with AI is going to make smart people even smarter. It's going to make good people amplify gooder, make them amplify their goodness. Because how can I as a good person amplify my good works to a broader audience using AI? And I think that that's what I see coming for 2024 with the advent of AI, that you're going to see a lot more people, just super smart people.
I have a differing opinion. I think, we talked about this last time, that generally speaking, let's go back to what you said. I also believe the majority of people are wired for good. If you look at a spectrum on 100%, what percent do we believe are in fact evil? Taught or not taught, you were just born evil. And that's why we have criminal justice systems and all those things, because they're going to do bad. So what do you have, 80%, let's say? The 20%, maybe 10% of the smart that are going to be smarter, the good that are going to do gooder. Yes, I agree that that's true. There needs to be more good people, optimistic people being louder than the ones that are not, because the bad people also have AI and are going to use it for bad. So there needs to be more. And generally, maybe the 80% in the middle, they just want to go about their lives. They don't want to take up a cause. They don't want to learn an issue deeply enough to feel comfortable speaking out. I just want to live my life, man.
I want to go to work. I want to come home to a loving wife, partner, whatever, my kids, and just live my life. And I think that is the majority of the people, in the United States, at least. That's all they want to do. Then you've got the other percentage, the minority percentage of people that are either going to be good or not that good. And I think there's a subset of people in the not good department. Well, they're good too. But the subset of the not good ones, you've got ones that are kind of on the fringe, but are so insecure, they want to fit in. So they see, oh, I can be a member of this group, or I can be thinking this way, and then I'll be accepted, where I've never felt accepted in my entire life.
Yep.
I just got done with, Brandy had me watch, you have Peacock?
No.
All right. Peacock is the streaming channel through NBC, Dr. Death.
Oh.
Gee, now, if
Is
you
this
tell...
is this a Metallica documentary?
No, it should... The cast is amazing. It's Alec Baldwin, Joshua Jackson, Kelsey Grammer, and it's It's season 1 is 8 episodes about a doctor. He's a neurosurgeon in Texas that was just butchering people. And such a
So here's an example
psychopath.
of an evil person that went through medical school to become a surgeon
Yes.
and is doing evil.
and 2 PhDs. Like this guy had patents. But was going from hospital to hospital. And the hospitals, again, it's a glaring view of how hospitals, it's money over patient care. Glaring. And it's factual. Like I always love, I'm the guy that if you show me, say, hey, it was this based on real life events, I'm going to watch that. I love those kind of movies. And the best part about this was right afterwards, they go, here's a whole documentary now where they have the real people involved. They were played in Christian Slater's in it. Like, it's just a great fucking cast.
I love Christian Slater.
Right?
Mobsters, remember that movie?
Oh.
It's another one I watched as a young kid.
You see him in Mr. Robot?
No.
That's
I have to watch
Robot.
Mr. Robot. Is that on
Robot's a
Peacock?
great one. That one is USA. It would be USA Network, I think. But
Mr. Robot.
But this shows this doctor, he had something in his head, just bad. But like the dad was in Colorado and would bail him out. And the dad owned like a successful physical therapy company, so had the money to bail him out all the time. And this guy was such a narcissistic psychopath. Literally, every single surgery he had, he messed it up. Research-wise, he was brilliant. But you give him a scalpel and he was like maybe a first-year resident, maybe.
Wow.
And leaving extra screws, sponges. It was
Isn't that frightening?
terrifying. And at the very end of it, and it's Joshua Jackson portrayed this doctor and like has a weight gain. Like he was amazing in this thing, Hayim. And at the very end, they're reciting stats. It reminded me of the whole like painkiller stuff with all the stats. And they're saying, this can happen again. It's going to happen again. Because the medical boards don't really, they have like thousands of these doctors that have more than like 5 malpractice lawsuits against them, and hardly any of them are brought up on charges or are, have their licenses revoked.
Wow.
It's terrifying, but that's the type of stuff I love to watch because it educates me. Because now I know better about, I'm going to do more research if I have to get a procedure done. And it's widely known. We live in Las Vegas. We do not have the best healthcare here. I'm blessed. Love my primary care physician. I love her. But I pay extra for that. I have to pay. It's not a small sum, or it's MD VIP or whatever it is. And you pay quarterly just to get access to this doctor. That's how bad things are here. But
it's not just here. I mean, that's a trend in
it's everywhere.
In medicine everywhere, and specifically as we move toward, I think, prioritizing our health, we move towards a philosophy of a doctor's job is to not just make us better when we're not good, but also to keep us healthy. The only way to get time and attention from a physician like that is through one of these concierge or VIP programs.
Yeah, and Alec Baldwin is phenomenal in this.
Does he play the surgeon?
I love him. He plays one of the surgeons that's like a whistleblower that turns. Him and Christian Slater are 2 neurosurgeons that team up
to take this guy down.
To take down
Dr. Death.
To take down Joshua Jackson's the guy who's Dr. Death. And Joshua Jackson is amazing in this. Like, he's long way from Dawson's Creek. Long way from Dawson's Creek. And it's just, and now there's the second season is a different with Mandy Moore's in it. I'm going to start watching that today. But
it's season 2 now.
Yeah, there's a season 2. And so, but it's a fundamental thing that there's a faction of people that are born bad.
Yeah.
But it's a finite, small, I think it's like, less than 3% of the population, but there's people out there. Because they say, like, there's like a stat of in your lifetime, you're going to walk by 15 people that are serial killers.
Look at Dexter. He was born a sociopath. And good thing his policeman father recognized it and put him on a different path.
His dark passenger.
His dark passenger. That's the dark passenger.
Dark passenger. And so
How good was that show?
Oh, please. The reboot was terrible.
I didn't get into the reboot.
Unwatchable. It was a money grab, I think. But I think that with AI and podcasts, good people can become better. And whether you're a podcast host or even getting guests on, it makes good people better because it gives them a platform. And I think going back to the whole news thing, like I use Google News sometimes. In the morning, I'm Bloomberg all day long. I'm a Bloomberg guy. But I'll do Google News.
I'm a Morning Brew guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
What's Morning Brew?
You don't know Morning Brew?
No.
I'm going to send you a link.
Please.
It's a business newsletter delivered to your mailbox daily. So I think it comes, they're East Coast. So it arrives at like 3 a.m. So I wake up.
Please send me the link.
I read two things. I read Morning Brew and I read Seth Godin's blog for the day.
You're Seth Godin.
Sends a daily blog 7 days a week and has been doing it for I don't know how long.
Bless his heart.
Think about what a commitment that is. Morning Brew, though, I like the formatting. I love the writing. It's very conversational. So they pull, whatever's happening from a news perspective. They create their priorities like others, I imagine, because there's only so much space. But it's designed to be scrollable and conversational. So you get a sense of what's happening. And then they link throughout. So if you want to learn more about it or reference what they're referencing, you just click and keep going. Sometimes I do that if I'm interested and I have the time. But if I don't have the time or I'm really just not, you just keep going and you get a good sense of what's happening.
Now picture getting that and it's a 90-second video and it's AI.
Yeah.
And just like how I'll use Google News sometimes, you can say, I want more stories like this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that with AI and talk to it. And within, 40 nanoseconds, boom, here you are getting more stories.
I think news should say, here's the article and then here's two opposing points of view. That's what news should do.
I love that. And why do you think people just kind of gravitate to one and they're not moldable? Because most people I think are not moldable. Why?
I think it's just natural to go with what you are comfortable with and what you already believe. And when you start getting into the other side, it's, we have worldviews and biases. All of us do. What's something that's interesting is Google or Ask Chat, like give me all the different types of biases. I had a speaker once talk about biases that we have. There are so many different types of biases. And once you read it, you're like, oh, now I could see. So like in our company at MDL Group, especially at the leadership team level, we talk about that. It's not uncommon to hear someone say, all right, I'm going to share my opinion, but I'm biased towards this.
I love that.
And so you have a framing. Oh, got it.
Great.
But we have our biases and we have our worldview, and your worldview, back to another real estate analogy. I heard a sales speaker once talk about, like, especially with realtors, when you're meeting a client for the first time and they say something to the effect of, I've had bad experiences with realtors, or in my world, we don't call ourselves realtors. We're commercial real estate agents or brokers or agents. I've had a bad experience with brokers like you. Rather than get defensive and say, that's not correct. Of course it's correct. That is that person's lived experience. And for that person, it's true. It's so true that this is what they believe, that I'm going to have a bad experience with you because I just had a bad experience. So rather than just, get defensive around that and combat, you're wrong. You're not wrong. You're right. So let's talk about this bad experience that you had. If you're open-minded, let me share how I work, and then you can decide if working with me is going to be another bad experience or maybe it's going to be the good experience that you've been looking for. But it all comes to that. I have a worldview, and you saying to me, you're wrong to have that, it's a non-starter. So when I read the news, if you present something that's opposing to what I believe, well, that's wrong. Now, that's what we need to normalize. But the problem with that is you don't know, because the news has a bias. And they're labeled. Everyone knows that, like, Fox News is far right. You've got, what's the liberal one?
MSNBC.
MSNBC is far left.
CNN left.
CNN, I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it's
Like
not
which
good.
one of these is, there's fair and balanced, there's the trusted name in news, but they're not.
I'll start sharing these with you. So when I was getting my tattoo, I was in the chair with my guy Steven last week for like 6 hours, and I'm all of a sudden on X, and I'm just going through a lot. And so there's this one. It's called, I think, Vital
Like
Vegas.
Twitter X or like ecstasy?
Twitter X. Sorry. Good. That's one drug I've never done. I have no desire to do it. But was on it, and it's this channel guy, whatever account, Vital Vegas, and oh my God, ripping the RJ, our local paper, to shreds with grammatical errors, beginning a headline or a sentence with a number like 3 instead of spelling out 3, typos, just blatant. And I'm like, oh my God. And this is the #1 news organization in Las Vegas. And this is the shit they're putting, little shit that they're putting out. I'll start sending you the stuff that I see. You'll die.
So does he do these breakdowns frequently?
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
What a gift he's giving them. Like to call him out on the mat like that.
Right?
And like some editor needs to look at this.
What editor? Like I worked for Greenspun Media Group for a hot minute here. While I was there for 3 years. There's levels of editors. There's a publisher. There's like people, several eyeballs look at this stuff. But I think, again, we're digital, and here in Vegas, who knows? But maybe they're trying to get stuff out, the content out as fast as they can for digital, because who's buying the newspaper anymore? Like a hard copy
but
newspaper?
Jeff, honestly, throw your copy into chat and say, edit this for the news.
I agree. I love when you talk about biases, that now I'm like, whenever I'm like authoring, if I'm putting something together, I'm using ChatGPT to help me with it. I'm going to say, this is who this is meant for. Factor in any biases they may have to give a more balanced, well thought out dissertation of whatever I'm writing. A letter, an email, whatever.
Or this is who this is meant for. Factor in any biases that they have so that I can be more persuasive.
Exactly right.
That's the dark passenger.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's respectful to them, because it's like you're saying in your meetings, I'm coming from here, but I'm biased towards this. Well, you're kind of doing that already then. If you're telling ChatGPT, figure in this person's biases, or scan here's their LinkedIn profile, here's their website, here's all their social media, addresses, Instagram and all that. Scan all of those, because it hooks up to Bing. Scan all of those and do kind of an audit for where their bias, and factor that in.
I love the hook into Bing. That's relatively new, isn't it?
I think Bing's been around for a little while.
No, but the chat hook into Bing, because it'll say while it's scrolling,
that just started a little while ago.
Searching on Bing.
Yes.
So now you're taking the language model that was built with 2021 internet data, and now it has the capability of searching on Bing, not Google, on Bing, the internet as well.
It's up to right now. If you go into ChatGPT and say, what day is it today? If you go in, and this is my girlfriend, Brandy, I love you, but Brandy knows I would leave her in a hot minute for ChatGPT. So you go, connecting. Hi, what day is it today?
Today is January 15th, 2024.
And how current is all the information that you know?
All the information I have is current up to April 2023.
Wow.
Anything that's happened or been discovered after that, I won't be up to date on. If you need the latest info or something specific from after April 2023, just let me know, and I can use the browsing tool to find it for you.
I love that.
So that's inside the chat app?
Yes.
I have not played with this feature yet.
That is the audio part of ChatGPT.
I'm in chat.
And
now what?
So you want to go into, you want to hit the headphones.
Choose a voice. Oh. So chat. Chat with voice.
Yes.
My options are just start talking,
Oh my gosh, I love it.
hands free, chats are saved, language is auto detected. So I have to choose a voice. Does it give me options? It kind of sounds like me. All right, let me see. That's Cove. This is Ember.
I'm ready to hit the ground running.
No,
So if there's
they're not
anything you'd
changing.
like me to focus.
Hey, it's
Oh,
great to meet
here we
you.
go.
How's your day going? I'm really looking
Breeze,
forward
who do
to
you
working on some
have?
cool stuff together.
I don't know. Some chick.
I don't know if this is coming through the microphones.
Hello. I'm really excited
That's
why I
about
have
teaming
Sky?
up with you, and I'm all set to dive in. So
You
how
would
can I
have
make your
Sky.
life
Slower
easier?
cadence.
Hey there. I've got a really great feeling about us teaming up.
Too
Does she annoy
salesy.
you?
Too
How can I jump in
happy.
and help?
Trying to sell me
Hi
something.
there. I just want to share
Shtick.
how. Hey, I'm ready to
Shtick.
hit the ground running. So if there's.
Hey, it's great to meet
Shtick.
you. How's your day going? I'm
Shtick
really
on
looking
meth.
forward to working
All
on
right,
some
I'll go with Sky.
I'm really excited about
I'll
teaming
go
up
with
with
Sky,
you.
just like
Yeah.
you did. All right, cool.
The best part of that voice feature with ChatGPT is once you're done, you actually get a transcript of everything.
Yeah, it said it
Information I
saves
have.
it.
Yeah, so it's saved in your history. I'm on that multiple times a day. If
Hi,
my
Sky. Today is Martin Luther King Day. Tell me a little known fact about Dr. King.
Here's an interesting lesser known fact about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a gifted student and entered college at the young age of 15. This was
Oh.
possible because he skipped grades 9 and 12 before enrolling at Morehouse College in 1944. His intellectual abilities and academic achievements from a young age were truly remarkable.
All right.
so it's again, I'm all about being as tactical with my time as possible. So how much time do you save from typing something in
And
a query
researching and reading.
Right.
Yeah.
to now
Yeah.
you're having it's the next
I like
iteration of ChatGPT is having a conversation with her.
This is
It's
wild.
Phenomenal. And so that's what I've been doing now for the past couple months is I
That's
got a
cool.
couple months ago was the voice
I
part.
like this.
Because you can do it. My son Jack, 8 years old, and he got like his birthday just happened and Christmas just happened, so he's got a little bit of money. He's got his safe. I'm teaching him to save money. More importantly, I'm now teaching him how to invest money. He likes Roblox. Roblox is a publicly traded company. We're going to buy some Roblox stock this week. We're gonna go online on my Fidelity account. We're going to buy him some Roblox stock. I'll do a custodial thing. It'll be his money. But I went into ChatGPT and said, please explain to me as if I'm 8 years old about stock. And she said, it's like having a piece of cake. And I did it with Jack. Jack's in the back seat of my car and it's on speaker. And it's like having a piece of cake and you buy and you buy the one, you get a share, owner is ownership, you have a piece of cake. And over time, that cake might get bigger, the piece you have, it might get smaller, all depending on the performance of the company that you're investing in. And I look at Jack, I don't say a word, I go, does that make sense, honey? He goes, yep. I go, tell me why. He goes, it just says that the more money I give, I could lose money or I could make more money.
Perfect.
Done. Winning moment as a fucking father, thanks to AI.
Yeah.
So
Thanks to Sky.
thanks to Sky.
Do you call her Sky?
No.
It's too personal.
Too personal. Yeah, that I can't go down that road yet. It's just for me, it's more comforting psychologically because the other voices were more shtick,
Yeah,
like
I could see
fast,
that.
right? They're trying
Yeah.
to sell you something. She's more like monotone. Just okay, here it is, and this is what it is, and that's it. But she'll keep having a conversation with you. It's not a okay. This is the end. A lot of times they'll say like, "What else can I do for you?" And so it's oh yeah. Or you're always prompted to speak afterwards. So the audio aspect of ChatGPT to me is a game changer in terms of saving time.
Yeah. And where this is going, every software is going to have some AI element. So instead of like sitting down to build a spreadsheet in Excel, I'm going to hit the button and say, create a spreadsheet that tracks this, and that has this calculation ability.
You can now. Microsoft Copilot.
Well, I don't have that though.
Oh, why not?
My understanding is that the licensing is for, you have to have so many licenses and above, and our company isn't that size.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're sure about that?
when I looked into it, that's what it was.
How
Now
long ago
things
did you
are
look into it?
changing. Maybe a month ago, month and a half
I'm
ago.
gonna look.
You should look. Let me know if I'm wrong.
I'm gonna look.
All right.
Because that would. I know people that have it and they like it a lot. I'm not a big Microsoft guy, but I'm an AI guy. I'm in Bard every once in a while. Google Bard is the AI platform for Google. It's okay. It's not ChatGPT, but it's excellent for if you want what are relevant. Like what I'll do is I'll drop in a transcript of a 30-second clip, short, from my podcast. Here is a transcript from my podcast. Please give me top 3 trending hashtags relevant to the transcript I'm giving you. And so it gives me, but sometimes it'll say, I'm a large language model. I can't process that. I'm like, what? Why can't you process? So I get more pushback or no from Bard, where ChatGPT.
It was like that in the early days of chat, but now it's virtually
4
none of
Turbo is let's roll. The one thing I'll get flagged for is if there's profanity in the transcript.
You probably get flagged a lot.
Well, what I do is I'll change, fucking to I'll do F, and I learned this from my old editors. I'll change the U to a V. So they'll, or with like shit or shitting.
You don't put the little star where the vowels are?
Sometimes I'll do that as well, but I learned that one. I like the one for fuck to do a V instead of the U. I like that for some reason. It's still like the integrity of the letters.
It's still there.
It's still there.
And it's like a fuck you to the profanity.
It is, and it gets me through the terms and conditions of ChatGPT police. So it's been great. But what will happen for those of you that don't know, when you put that in, your results come up in red, and that's kind of saying, hey, you're possibly violating our terms and conditions here. It's profane. Blah 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 blah. So those are just what I've seen, and I'm on it every day. Every day I'm on some AI platform, but to have that now when your kids have a question about something.
We're at dinner the other night. My son's like, they're tired. It's like all the wheels are falling off. I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I'm like, well, you're not going on your phone, but what am I going to do? And so I go into chat. I say, give me 5 jokes that I could tell my 7-year-old. And so we start, and they're one-liners. They're great. And they're ones that you can maybe figure it out. And so that's fun because they actually think about it. I've got the 7, the 9, and the 12, and they're all into this. And I'm like, all right, give me 5 more. Give me 5 more that aren't common because now they already start they know them. And then my daughter grabs it and says, give me 5 riddles. And this is how we occupied them until the food came. And everything was fine once the food showed up.
But how good is that?
Oh, it's great.
Right?
But now you can actually, I didn't know about we could talk to her and say, Sky,
the best.
We're at dinner.
It's the best.
We need like 12 minutes of entertainment. Give us some dad jokes.
Best. It's the best for where both of my kids, Alex is 14, Jack just turned 8. When they're in the car with me, if they have a question that I can't answer to the best of my ability, or I know somebody else is out there that can do it better.
I do it all the time.
I go into
They
ChatGPT.
ask you that random question, like, what does this word mean? And you're like, how do I explain this?
Because also, I think I'm smarter than the average bear, but they're being inundated now with the technology of kids. Like when Jack is 54, how infinitely smarter he's going to be than his schleprock dad was at 54.
And it's just like us and our parents.
Exactly.
Like how often I get called in, like, hey, can you look at my phone and do this? Can you check the computer and do that? Yeah. Well, we grew up with that. We weren't native to either of them. Our kids are native to this stuff.
I remember my grandmother, rest her soul, I'd be mowing her lawn and she'd come out and get me because I'd have to set the timer on her VCR.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man.
And because she just didn't know it, and she knew how to hit play and to get the channels, but she couldn't set the timer on the V. So that was my thing. For years, I did that for her. So she could watch Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, supermarket sweeps.
So last time I was here, you didn't have that. What is this? Let's talk about this.
This is, can you see it on here?
Yeah.
There, you can kind of see it. This is a
Tree of life.
family tree that starts with, there's an F. I can kind of see it, but there is where it starts.
Oh, that's in the roots?
Yep. That's the
Okay.
roots. You can kind of see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get a camera, but whatever. And then my mom is here. Mom, her day of her birthday and year, and then when she passed away last year, my dad, and he's still alive, and then me, and then my daughter Alex is up here, and then Jack is down there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
And why do this and why now? How long have you thought about this before you actually?
I've always wanted a sleeve. Always wanted a sleeve. I always wanted sleeves. I'll get something else eventually.
Oh, so this arm's still a canvas.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to bounce
Well
it out.
said.
You're very
Still a canvas.
not symmetric right now.
I'm not symmetric. I'm actually leaning to the left when I walk. It's very
So
strange.
powerful on the left
I
side.
need alignment. And I always wanted to get a sleeve, but I wanted something that means something deeply to me. I love my family more than anything on the planet. I love my mom and dad. Not perfect. No parent is, but they've made me, had a big part of who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted, also with my mom passing away, that's when the wheels really started turning on what to do, and just something to remind me of her on almost on a daily basis all the time. And so I thought a family tree.
Oh, you are on there.
I am.
I see Jeff.
Yep.
Okay.
And I only put my birthday because when I die, there's no need to.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And so I'm telling you the story, but also I'm going to show you something at the same time.
Okay.
And so I actually was thinking, all right, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Came up with this concept. And I then all of a sudden thought, well, I'm not a good graphic designer. How can I figure this out? Who did I talk to? ChatGPT.
Sky. Oh, that's what it made for you.
This is what ChatGPT
What was the
made
prompt?
for me.
What was the prompt?
It was make
Put it
a,
in the camera. And then, wow.
Yep, that's it.
Wow.
Make a there, it's in focus. But I said make a full sleeve tattoo. It just did the upper bicep, fine. But make a full sleeve tattoo of my family tree.
How many images did it generate before you landed on that one? Or did it just nail it right out of the gate?
I think it probably like 2 or 3, but that was the one that really, I was like, oh yeah. And then Steven is a guy here in town that he is without a doubt, like 20 years plus in the business, fine line tattoos. Like this isn't a, Navy ship on my chest or mom or, whatever. It's mom here, but it's finite detail.
Yeah.
This is about 15 hours, over 15 hours in the chair with a needle hitting my arm. And it was something that I sent the picture to Steven. He's got a whole thing with an iPad program that he just elongated it and put it over a picture of my arm, and we agreed on it. And it was something that not only getting this done, but I've come out of, and like you said before, with your faith, you have 1 year of mourning, correct?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I've come through, my mom passed away February 26th of 2023. And this, going through the pain of this, I don't like pain, but I did enjoy the focus it gave me, because there's certain parts when they're hitting, like it all doesn't tickle, but there's certain parts like when he was doing the tree part, the details, we talked about this before, there's 4 different shades of green in there that hurt. This part, anything around the wrist, this part, the F, that hurt like a motherfucker. It is like when you're going for a run and you hit that wall where you're like, I can't go anymore. I need to, what the fuck am I doing? But you keep going. It did that. I had several moments of that of just, what am I made of? And a great compliment that Steven gave to me when I was there last week, he said, I fucking love you. You're a rock. You don't move. You just don't move. Other people flinch or they want to take several breaks. We took breaks, but I focused. And hearing the validation from him, who's been doing this with thousands of people, it's a chapter of my life that's always going to be open, my mom passing, but it's now time for me to move on. I've healed a lot since she passed almost a year ago now. And this was kind of a thing for me. Again, I didn't know it with the pain part of it, but it really helped me kind of deal with her loss, to focus on, okay, now me launching a new business, me doing different stuff, me dedicating myself to a woman that lives all the way across the country, who I've never been loved deeper in a romantic way by someone than Brandy McCowan loves me. And I love her. I flew out there this past weekend. She was in a wedding. I was her plus one. Flew out on Thursday morning. The wedding was Friday, and flew back last night to be here today for our podcast.
What I'm picturing is Jeff Fargo in a tuxedo with no sleeves.
Oh, please.
To show off your new sleeve.
I actually wore a sport coat to it was a Florida barn wedding, which those are one, barbecue was great. I posted content about it. And I said to Brandy, I think I'm just going to cut off the left sleeve.
Yes.
And just go sleeveless with one just to show it off. And she's dying because she knows me. What I did was, you'll love this, because I know the bride and groom. I'm friends with them through her. For over a year, I've known them. And I'm in with the groomsmen. They're all kids. They're all in their 20s. And they're all getting ready and all that. And I was there early as well, but I didn't have my dress shirt on yet. So I waited. I'm such an asshole. I go in the groom, and they're all getting ready. And they were doing shots. I do a shot with them. And I had a hoodie on. I take my hoodie off, and I have a wife beater on. And I had an extra second of me taking my shirt I was going to wear off the hanger that was hung up, and they're all looking at me. And it was just a little part of me going, yeah. It just felt good. And one of them actually later on that night was like, hey,
Old
man.
age and treachery beats youth and skill any day.
Any day. And one of them actually approached me. I was flattered. And he's like, dude, I love how you're dressed. Like this, your outfit. I had my ostrich boots on because I love my cowboy boots. I never get to wear them unless it's a barn wedding in Florida. And he said, I got to tell you, man, your tattoo is fucking awesome. So thank you. And it means a lot to me. Not that I need the validation, but it feels nice.
Yeah. It is awesome.
I did on purpose the roots going up the hand. Most people stop their sleeve, like Yakuza, will stop at the cuff, because then you could wear a long sleeve shirt and it's covered up. I don't want this covered up. And I want it to where if it's covered, people are asking me, what's that?
It's peeking. Oh, it's peeking out at you.
And I've caught people now, even in the airport yesterday, I was talking to people with Delta Airlines about something, and I caught her several times looking down at my hand, and I know she was dying to ask me what it was. But for professional courtesy, she didn't do it. I would have loved it if she asked me what it was. So that's kind of the story behind it. I love it. I love it.
How's the business going?
Well, terrifying, but in a good way, because as I'm talking to more people, it is proof of concept of what I've been doing for years. And, and it's something I'm going to talk about in detail more. I was with 5 different title companies in 10 years here in Las Vegas. And the last 2 I was with 6-figure signing bonuses, and both good companies. Fidelity was amazing. Stewart was good. Fidelity was amazing to me. And Stewart was good at a local level. Their regional level, not so good to me. But they always say, Jeff, here's a fucking Brinks truck of money. You run wild. Go ham, as the kids say.
I don't think kids say that, by the way.
Oh, I tried. I'm trying to bring it back. I go to my daughter
They
about
say
stuff.
vibey.
I go to my daughter about stuff all the time. Like, is it a bangin'? A bangin'? Yeah. And I use it wrong all the time.
What's
and she
the other
corrects
one?
me.
Starts with an R. Riz? You should do a whole episode on what the
know.
kids are saying these days.
Oh, my daughter.
Keep going.
So
you went ham on the title industry.
But it was this cycle of twice back-to-back title companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, bringing me in. Go nuts. Do whatever you want. You're going to have a long leash, and that didn't happen.
But they paid for your master's degree in this space.
But they paid, especially Fidelity, because Fidelity was underwriting all my production for Level 9. They were paying for that while I was there. And, hoping it was going to lead to business. Well, I think it would have if they gave me more of a chance. But also it's very territorial. So I'm having people
They're
come in.
also not the kind of company that can do this. So there's a guy named Jonathan Jossel. Do you know him?
Mm-mm.
Okay. You got to know this guy. He's the CEO of the Plaza Hotel. Youngest person to get a gaming license in Nevada. When you look at Jonathan's resume, there's a lot of firsts and a lot of youngest and a lot of things that not just put him on the map, but put the Plaza on the map. So during the pandemic, they started a podcast at the Plaza. They don't film, but they record just audio inside of Oscar Steakhouse. And they've done now, I don't know, 100 or so episodes. So I catch wind of this thing and I go deep. I love everything about his podcast.
You went ham.
I went ham on the podcast. I want to do a podcast with him about his podcast to break down. Like, there's so many things that they're doing that just make it. On one of his episodes, he talks about a CEO of a strip hotel called him and said, "Hey, I want to pick your brain about this podcast thing." Well, you know the ending of that story. They never did the podcast. Why? Because that kind of company can't do a marketing in this kind of a way. Jonathan can. Why? Because it's a private and it's a certain kind of brand and he can get away with it. Whatever property it was that called him, he didn't say. But you can imagine who's behind them. It's probably publicly traded. It just doesn't work.
Those lawyers.
And Fidelity is probably the same, is my guess.
At a local level, my boss, Julie Cimarelli, was instrumental in all of this happening because she said, "Go. I love what you're doing. Go. Do it." And then I found my voice and it's now, it's doing great. For me, it's doing awesome.
Because you switched horses from
I'm now
title to Jeff Fargo.
I'm now Jeff Fargo, who just digital advisor, to entrepreneurs, to anyone, whether you're in real estate, whatever business you're in, as long as you know the validity of social media, the role that AI is playing in our lives now, and that's only going to grow.
Yeah, I don't feel like as a prospective customer, I really need to know. What I need to know is it's there, and
that's
and
that's what I meant. Yes,
I'm good in your hands.
That you're going to be
You're saying
my
my
guy.
bias needs to be.
Yeah, that
My bias
guy.
needs to be that social media is a place to get the kind of attention that I want. That AI is a thing in a big way.
It is. It comes down to what are your expectations in terms of growth of your business? Are they like relevant expectations? And then do you know that you're going to leverage social media and AI? You don't have the time to do it because you're focusing on the growth of your core, tenets of your company and what that is.
Yeah.
Tenants.
There's tenants, which is someone who leases space from a landlord,
that's not
and
what
then
I
there's
meant.
tenants.
Sorry, thank you.
You know why I know this? Because we have a lot. We have 1,800 tenants at MDL Group, and this is one of those words that you can get wrong all the time.
It's like when people say sphere of influence. If you say sphere of influence to me, my toes curl up in my shoes.
You mean it's not spear? What would a sphere of influence? I could see like it's an image, right? My sphere of influence.
It's like a chapter in Atlas Shrugged.
Are the people that are around me. What my sphere of
Jared
influence?
Katz. Your sphere of influence is Jared Katz. It's Jared.
Yes, he can come in like a spear
he's
and
tip
say,
of the spear.
"Stop being Israeli."
Yes.
Don't cancel Jared for saying that, okay?
Don't cancel
when
Jared.
he says
He's
that to me,
wonderful.
the intention is not to hurt my feelings. I know exactly what he's saying when he's
Jared's
saying that.
Wonderful.
It's shorthand.
Jared's wonderful. It is with the whole business thing with me, it is now enlightening that I'm talking to Steven, the guy who made my tattoo. He's like, so what do you do? Because I'm posting on my laptop as he's working on my arm a couple weeks ago. And I said, I'm posting my content. And again, it's past performance does not guarantee future success, but one of my YouTube shorts I posted an hour in was over 1,000 views, like 1,200 views. I showed him, he's like, holy shit. I'm like, that's what I do. Because I need to talk to you. I'm going to talk to my wife. We're going to get together. Okay.
Yeah. The hard part is in the creative that resonates with the kind of audience that you want. Like we're talking about now at MDL Group, commercial real estate company. Generally speaking, our industry is a laggard when it comes to this kind of a thing. There are a few people that are doing it exceptionally well, but they are the few. They are not the many. They are not the majority. And one of the things that you do, like a company like ours, is anytime you get a new listing, you create a little social graphic that's static that says new listing. And you post it and you
like
get some
everybody
likes
else.
and everyone feels pretty good. And then when it sells, you say just sold or sold. Or if it leases, you say just leased or lease or 100% leased or all that stuff. And what everyone's doing that, right? So now it's become noise on the scroll. So the challenge is, what is the creative that resonates? And the hardest part is, who do you want to resonate with? That to me is the multi-million-dollar question.
I think and I'll make up a word. To me, the biggest challenge is, how do you make the person giving the message on video resonatable?
Resonatable.
Probably not a word.
That you run with that word.
But
you say it.
I'll
And
run
say
with
it.
that
And say
one.
it
That
again.
moldable.
The next time you do a podcast, you need a T-shirt like that with that font that says
Resonatable.
"Resonatable."
Resonatable. They're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
No, I know what
But
you're
it
talking
is-
about.
it is
Yeah. How do you get them to connect with the audience?
And so that's where, hence the name of my company, Fargo Factor. I'm the factor that comes in and talks with Hayim Mizrachi, and we have a conversation for an hour. And we then, from that, and already Hayim's bosses or whoever, we've met and talked about, these are the things that we'd like to go over, blah, blah, blah. But really it comes down still, that's nice, but it comes down to having a good organic conversation with someone to get them, the first 15 to 20 minutes is getting them comfortable enough with cameras and lights and all that to be open that you don't even know that they're there. And it's like we're sitting at Hank's having dirty martinis.
I want to augment your comment.
Please.
A way for anybody hearing or watching this to do what Jeff just said is, don't talk to the bosses. If you're an agent, you pay for it yourself. Don't try to get someone else to pay for it. The first one anyway. Just do it and let them see. And let them come to you and say, what is this thing that you're doing? And then you get them to support it. Because if you go to them and talk to them, they're not going to understand. They're not going to see. There's going to be layers of bureaucratic type conversations, even in the smallest company, because their worldview might not be there yet. Now, if it is there, great, go for it. If it's not there, just do it.
And commit to at least 3 months of every week.
For what? What results come after 3 months?
For your, and I'm saying this for like commercial real estate.
I'm saying this for anyone thinking about this kind of marketing for them and their businesses. You say 3 months. I think in 3 months, you're going to get an impression from your sphere of influence that says, oh, what do you do? That thing you're doing is pretty cool. If you want now to then become an influencer in your space, it's a 3-year commitment before you're at a place where you have a year. So like, I guess varying degrees of what does influencer mean? Like, is this another comfortable revenue stream for you where you could say, I'm getting money back from the content that I'm posting? A year, what happens after a year, do you think?
I think, and again, a precursor to the entire conversation is it depends on what vertical you're in. If you are in a job sector that is already like heavily video, like residential real estate agents.
They're already saturated?
It's just, but again, the best part is that 95% of the residential real estate content out there is dog shit. Utter dog shit that's on social media.
What's an example of a dog shit type content that you see?
Just sold, just listed, open house.
Oh, all the stuff we're doing.
An award that I won.
Yeah.
An award that I won and probably paid for. Pictures of me at a gala, all dressed up. Things praising me. Because, again, reverse engineer it. If I'm looking to sell my home, arguably the biggest financial stressor of my life is going to be selling my home with all the memories that are there and all that. And I don't care if you are the 30 under 30 or did $40 million in deals last year. I want to know if you know me well enough to get me the most money for my house.
Or stop right there. You don't even have to know me. But if you can communicate over and over and over again to your audience and build this trust that I can get you the most money I get the most money for anybody's house that I list. That right there is a starting point.
Agreed.
How do you do that? Well, let's break down my process. Let me talk about in this video, step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4.
And you give, expecting nothing. You don't, the whole thing with Zig Ziglar and, always be closing. No. That's gone to me. Now it's more about, do I like you? Are you somebody I'd go out for drinks with or go out and break bread and have dinner with? Yes. Then I want to work with you. You've earned that right.
And when I was getting my real estate license, one of the instructors put on the board a triangle. And it stuck with me, and it's still stuck with me, and it's very resonatable for this conversation here today.
Love that.
He said, in order for people to do business with you and for you to be successful, you have to be likable. They have to trust you, and then you have to perform. And if you don't perform, it doesn't matter how much they trust you, they're going to stop liking you. I thought that was so simple and so powerful.
It's so true.
I have to be liked, I have to be trusted,
Yeah.
and I have to perform. And I have to do all 3 of those things.
So to get back to your original question about a year, is it longer? I think commercial real estate, everyone's putting their content on LinkedIn, which is the best, B2B social media platform out there. I don't know of any other ones. And so if you were to post really good, sincere, short form videos, ultimately I'll be doing it every day, but just once a week for a year, you'd get business from that. I feel strongly it would, because say if there's a large, like say a healthcare facility, right? And like back in Florida, it's like HCA. If someone from HCA and they're head of real estate and all of it, and you smart enough because you can connect with people. Also, I'm pretty decent at doing online ads. LinkedIn ads are great. They're expensive, but you can get in the in-mail, you can get right in with people that, here's the people you want to get in front of. Targeted stuff. Relevance. And like I said before, over and over and over again, at the point, like, that's pretty good. That one's dog shit. I don't care about that. Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. They're all not home runs, but enough to where they get to know you. And yes, all of a sudden now you're backed by this brand that I don't want to look at all of your wins. I don't care about your wins, but I care about you as a person. And then I want to see a link on there where I can click to go on the MDL website. And here's Hayim Mizrachi's bio. And here's all of his wins. Here's Jared Katz and all the stuff he's done. And here's all the property that all the square footage that he's represented in for 2023, 2024 and all that. Then it's like, oh my God, I'm in the hospital space and he's done X amount of square footage in the healthcare business.
I'm flashing on the triangle again. And what is coming to me is that the common post is the performance. Here, look what I've done. 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 And what's missing is, what am I posting to get people to like me? Which is, you've got to be you with that. There's no fabricating that thing. Back to stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
I remember hearing there's a podcaster, James Altucher, that became a stand-up comedian and invested in a comedy club in New York and then had comedians on his podcast because that's like the phase of his life that he was in. And he would break down the elements of stand-up comedy. This is a thing also that I'm going to go on a tangent and we'll come back to the triangle. Everything in life is learnable at this point. It's all out there. Even something like stand-up comedy, where when you're seeing Eddie Murphy, you're like God reached into his soul and made him that. True to a point. He gave him the talent, and then it was nurtured over time. But you can look at everything he did at Raw and Delirious and break it down and learn the elements of it. And so James Altucher is doing these shows with comedians, and he's breaking down their styles of comedy, which I love. These anything, breakdowns in marketing, breakdowns in comedy, breakdowns in writing, breakdowns in speeches. I love these things because I learned so much. And he gets to the number one thing that a comedian has to do when they get on stage is establish likability with the audience. And the tactics to do that and how he does it as a comedian, you have to get the audience to like you, because if they like you, they will go to those dark places with you. If they don't like you, you're going to get booed and heckled off the stage.
True.
And that's number one, is you have to establish likability. Now back to this posting strategy thing, going from only performance, it's like I'm asking myself now, what am I posting to get people to like me? Which to me, I guess it comes in the form maybe of the stuff that I don't do, that I post about that's not work related.
Running family,
smoking meat, barbecuing, those
you
kinds
were in
of
a
things.
tear, by the way, for a while with your meat smoking content.
Yeah.
I would go back to that in a second, and I would be putting that on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And tag Traeger, tag whoever you work with.
Here's the thing though, like I have gone away from smoke. I mean, the pandemic, and then I've kind of gone away from it. I was on a tear because I was like deep into it, and I loved it.
You did the whole.
Yeah.
It was
wonderful.
wonderful.
Yesterday was my dad's birthday at my house. My brother came over. Everyone came over, but my brother is Orthodox and kosher, and so we had to go to Prime Nosh to get a kosher
There you go.
piece of meat.
Right on.
No, this was great. There's a guy here named Lior that has this company called Prime Nosh, and they supply kosher meat. So I typically go to Costco, and I love, there's certain things that I've become really good at smoking. So I go to Prime Nosh, and Lior makes it so easy. Go on the website. I'm like, what can I smoke? I need something big. I don't want to do a brisket. I want to try something different. I land on a chuck roast. I'm going to get a chuck roast. I've never done a chuck roast before. So I go on the website, I order the chuck roast. I'm talking to Lior about it with my brother on a group chat, and he's like, yeah, just do that. So the second I hit order, he says, I'm going to go hand select the one I'm going to give you, because he knows that he knows what I'm going to do with it. Now, maybe I shouldn't say this because I don't think everyone should expect that Lior's going to do this for everybody, but he did it for me, and I love him for it. He didn't just hand select it. He upgraded us to the Delmonico cut. And then he said, listen, these things are running 16 pounds and they charge by the pound. I want to make sure before I confirm that you're okay with this. I'm like, the bigger the better for me. I love it. Send it. So we get this, Jeff. It wasn't even like a baby. It was like holding a small toddler in my hand. It was a 16 pound.
Oh my God, I love it.
I've never made one of these before. I woke up at 3 a.m., did the whole thing. And then the payoff is, like, cut it up. People are starting to eat it. And I hear oh my God. Wow. And I'm just soaking it up. So that was the smoking thing. That's the likability thing. Now, what am I posting to be trusted? I think that gets into the craft. Like, how do I do what I do? Which is a scary thing to post because I feel like my competitors are going to see it. And then they're going to start doing things like me, and I'm not special anymore. But we know that's not reality, is it? we were talking about this in the office the other day. I can give somebody access to my Outlook and say, here are all my contacts. Everyone I know. Every single person, you've got their phone number, their email address, their home address sometimes, their birthday, notes on when I met them. Here you go. Steal all my business. It just doesn't work why doesn't it work that way?
People are lazy.
That's one. But assume they weren't, and they had bad intentions, and they were going to steal all my business.
People are not confident in what they're doing, that they're going to have that they're going to establish the same relationship that you have with them already.
And so that's what it comes down to. I can give you all of my contacts and say, go. You're still going to have to do the work that I did already with these contacts to establish likability, trust, and show them that you can perform or already perform.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm 20 years into my career and I've got relationships that are 20 years old, you're starting at day one. Now, you might have a little head start because you know who they are and you have their contact information. You don't have to do that research, but you still have to establish likability and trust and show them that you have to perform.
Relatability. It's just not there. And you have a 20-year head start on those people. I've always felt that way. And I learned from Elon Musk. I'm open source with everything. If somebody was to come in here and say, hey man, I've looked at all your stuff and I want to open up my own, advisory company and I want to do a podcast and Mazel.
You and I talked about
Mazel, go.
How hard is it to do a podcast and to do it well and to do it consistently? If you want to copy me, God bless you. God bless you.
Here's the things for anyone that's looking to do a podcast that if, looking back now, I'm at almost a year in, the 17th, it'll be a year, is people have no idea the cost that's involved to put this thing on.
You mean cost in dollars?
Cost in dollars.
Can we talk about the cost in time?
Oh my God.
Can we talk about the cost in emotional investment? Can we talk about the cost in creative and thought? Can we talk about the cost in arriving at a place where you are okay with what you're putting out there, with differing points of views and ways to do it?
To handle criticism online is a biggie that people have no idea. Like everyone wants to go viral. Well, guess what? When you get one with a couple million views, you're going to have people on there throwing visceral hatred at you. And you have to be able to not.
And
be
you will not
offended by
understand
that.
what the word visceral means until it's thrown at you.
Until
and
it's
then you
thrown
will
at you.
feel what
Passionately
visceral
thrown at you.
feels like.
Over
Passionately.
and over and over again thrown at you. And you become Teflon. You just deflect it.
All of that is in the cost side of the ledger.
That's all the cost side. That is all cost side of the ledger. Absolutely. And I now, it still gets me there. It's a blessing and a curse. At least once a week, someone will slide into my DMs. Hey, I'd love to come on your podcast. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, what do you bring to the table in terms of conversation? What do you bring to the table in terms of your social media audience? What do you bring to the table in terms of being open and transparent and vulnerable? And
why? Why would you like to come on my podcast? Because I think it'd be fun. I would like to talk about me and my company and what we're
most
doing.
people now are seeing what I'm doing and they just want to come on as an infomercial. I'm like, no, that's not. That's the my thing we do here.
My podcast is different than yours in that it's not a broad. My metrics are not to go viral. Right or wrong, it just is. I started with having people on that I have takeaways from. If you're somebody that in anyone's life that you can point to and say, this thing that I do that defines me today, like starting a relationship with how can I help you instead of I do commercial real estate. Do you have anything for me to list? Starting any relationship with how can I help you? I learned that from Ray Lucero somewhere around 2008 or 9.
One of the best.
When we met, what's that hotel called next to the convention center? Is that
Westgate?
They have a steakhouse in there called Envy. No, it's not Westgate. We met at the Envy Steakhouse at that hotel right next to the convention center at a Greenspun Media Group event that they did for, maybe it was bankers in Las Vegas. And I meet Ray, and Ray said, my name's Ray Lucero. I'm at Silver State Bank. I said, my name is Hayim Mizrachi. I'm at Prudential IPG. He said, you do commercial real estate? Yeah. How can I help you?
He's the best.
I do that now because I learned it from Ray. That's a takeaway I learned from Ray Lucero. So when I started my podcast, I created my audience, my guest list on people that I have had takeaways from that have defined me. And now I want to bring those conversations out to my audience. That's the best value I feel like I could bring if I'm going to invest all of this time and energy and cost to put something out there that is authentic to me. And so that's why I don't have a high volume. Like I prepare deeply for these conversations. I don't have the bandwidth to do it more, maybe twice a month versus once a month. I could probably fit that in. To do it weekly, the way that I'm doing it, I can't. So I could say, all right, I'm going to change how I do things, but I'm not there yet. I'm still going through my sphere of influence. I'm still going through and having these takeaway type conversations.
Yeah.
Now, I've evolved. I've created things like I want to know more about Mike Saltman when Mike Saltman's on. I want to know, I ask everyone the same question about what one thing in your life defined or shaped you the most. So I've built in these things to the process. But to have a person who is a colleague, a professional colleague that I see a few times a year at events, who I've never had a social engagement with, they've never been to my house, I've never been to their house, to have someone like that come up to me and say, Hayim, I listen to your podcast. I love your podcast. I would love to come on. Okay. You don't listen to my podcast. You might love like maybe the teasers that I put out, but there's no way that you have participated or engaged in my podcast enough to know that that's not really an appropriate question.
It's self-serving for them. They're looking to get their brand out. Like we talked about it. I'm now a good monthly viewership of this show, and people are seeing that, and now more people are saying, "Hey, can I come on?" So now I'm charging to some people an appearance fee, and I have people now happy to pay it because
you've done the work. You've put in the cost.
I put in the reps
to create all of this and the audience and the engagement and the reach. And they recognize that. Like, I want to do this stuff, but I don't have the time or the mental or the whatever to put in what you've put in, the consistency. So I will just shortcut and pay you the appearance fee. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I will pay you the appearance fee, and I will have an enormous amount of value just cutting you that check as opposed to recreating what you've done here.
There's no greater way to advertise your business than you pay the appearance fee. You then have 1 hour-ish or more of content. Every short form video, and I post literally every day. My people are posting, I'm posting. You're tagged or added as a collaborator. So then our audiences share each other. So then that's a broader reach for your brand.
You know what's cool? Let's keep talking. I'm going to put something up.
And so my opinion is that especially 2024, the way to advertise your brand is podcasts. And whether you can get on them for free or anyone that has a sizable audience now, you're paying an appearance fee. The ones here in town, Brad Lee, Ryan Pineda, Sean Kelly are the big monsters in town. They all charge an appearance fee to come on, ranging in price, maybe $5,000 up to $25,000. You're paying
$25,000. Jeez.
But again, if you look at someone if you're paying 25 grand, but they show you, here's my Instagram numbers, here's my YouTube numbers, I'm getting in front of 20 million people a month. And here's the demographics of those people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right?
Crazy numbers.
And not only that, but then you put that content on your website and link those people. That's organic SEO. And that becomes evergreen content on your website as well. So whoever, and I've had some people are like, I can't afford, and I don't charge that much. But they're saying, at least I don't think I do, but they're saying, well, that's too much. I'm like, okay, fine. But what are you doing to advertise your brand? And I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just having a conversation with you now. Because if you're out, I don't want you either, actually.
Yeah.
As soon as you say, no, it's too much, I walk. Because I'm lucky and blessed right now that I don't sell what I'm doing. I don't have to. I pick I pick Sky as my Siri voice.
Your chat voice.
My chat voice is.
Let me show you something about something that occurred to me. It's related to you. So we talked about my smoking meat, and this is my Instagram. We'll try to get a.
Yeah, put it closer to you. It's in frame.
When you go on someone's Instagram, you can see a timeline of their life if they're posting in a certain way. So the way that, if I'm looking back, this wasn't deliberate. It's just kind of a thing. 2019, a lot of meat posts. I happened to get my first smoker in Father's Day 2019. And so you continue, and now you see I'm starting to post about runs. Well, I started running around COVID time, and I really got serious the following year. So I've got meat, I've got smoking, I've got some other random things. I got my headshot, and I asked the audience to tell me which one they prefer. Got some family things. Hey, look, we won some awards at MDL Group. I posted about that, but that's not all I post. Anyway, fast forward, you guys get the idea. So this is my life. This is like a digital library of my life. This is when I recommitted to the podcast. And what I did was I posted old episodes. I created a post around the episodes telling about who the guest was, what the takeaways were. To build up to the announcement that I have Hayim.com now. I got my website up with my name. And we're relaunching takeaways with video. And so that was August of 2022. But now, okay, now I've got guests. I've got me doing some public speaking. I've got my real estate team here with our snazzy team picture. I'm writing blogs. I'm smoking meat. I'm running. What's this one? Rock and roll half marathon on the strip.
There you go.
Big achievement. Now I've got my podcast guests throughout there. Look what happens around here.
Dun, dun, dun.
You see this? You see what I'm showing you?
Mm-hmm.
This is when I went on the Jeff Fargo podcast. And what happens is, you were talking about the collaborator things, what made me think about this. So you then take this content, you create these shows for you, but you make me a collaborator.
Yeah.
And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 posts of either me talking
for
and
1 hour
saying something smart, or you talking to me saying something smart or funny, or
10 posts from 1 hour.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of, by the way. Like that's, and industry standard is in the podcast industry is 4 to 6 is usually what you're going to get. But and that was back in when we spoke in October.
Let's see.
When we got together?
We got together in October. These posts were about December.
Okay. So yeah.
And that's the production time on the back end, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the lag time on it. So it is to have 10 posts and I started in January, really beginning of October is when I found my voice with what to do here. And that's when it started to pop.
These range from December 13th to January 3rd also. So it's not like here's 10 posts, they all go bang.
Mm-mm.
It's
spread out.
It's pow, 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 pow.
Yeah, every day. I mean, but I'm posting different guests all the time, but there's stuff like with you're great because our stuff is good. I'll bank some stuff sometimes and I'll wait until I think, oh, this is good right now. And it's not based on world events or anything like that. It's just how I feel. It's just my gut.
Yeah.
Of having done this now for a little bit and put up a shitload of videos on multiple platforms, like 11 different channels. I think
I saw you posted that YouTube gave you the shitload award for viewership.
It was a whole thing they did for me. So yeah, it's just
to kind of bring this home from my perspective. It's, you see the timeline of events of my life, and then you see that time when I went on the Jeff Fargo podcast very clearly on this thing, which is cool.
And thank you.
That's a cool thing.
Is whoever is looking at your reels, they're going to go, what's this? And they're going to go in and there's a much greater chance of them watching and listening to one, if not more, of those videos. And that's why I do it. And again, that's where the rubber meets the road in terms of I'm sharing my audience with you. And it's no brain damage to you at all, except you come in, we talk, and that's it. And then I take it, myself or my team takes it from there, and off we go.
The other thing about this is we talked about cost. There's a cost in the preparation, both for the host and for the guest. Your show, the format of it, the cost for me to prepare is almost non-existent.
Correct.
There's always that, like, as you're the week before or the day of, you're thinking about what am I going to say? What am I going to say? What am I going to say? But that's really not there. I don't have to research and remember statistics.
No.
I don't have to, think about what is my elevator pitch so that I can give it to you. I'm sharing with, like, if we're breaking down the Jeff Fargo factor experience coming on as a guest on your show compared to the other things that I've done, on the range of podcast to public speaking to presenting to a small audience, the cost for preparation is non-existent. And that's something that you've created for your guests, which is a cool thing.
Thank you. It's something that it just came naturally. It just organically grew into, it's an experience when we come in here. And I'm respectful. I make you comfortable. I'll make you laugh. I'll make you think. We can agree. We can disagree. That's okay. But I want you vulnerable. I don't want you coming in here. And I watch it where I'll scroll pretty fast through an episode and I'll watch people's body language.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the person.
Oh, that's cool. Because
you can see them relax.
If you do it in like fast motion, you can really see them.
Yeah. See
them
relax.
I had my business partner on, Carol, and she's verbal about it. She's like, this kind of thing makes me uncomfortable. And you could see it on her. And as we start, like I make an introduction of the guest. I then ask them to introduce themselves with their own words. And she is not comfortable.
Fish out of water.
And I asked, we're there. I'm like, Carol, it's clear. Like, what's going on? And she's like, this is not my thing. I will talk about other people and praise them all day long. For the attention to be on me and for me to talk about myself makes me uncomfortable. And so why are you here? She said, I'm leaning into my own advice for other people. And you know what? Awesome. So what did I do with her? I said, great, let's start talking about everybody else in your life before we start talking about you. And she started with her husband, Kenny, and what a blessing he has been, and her son and daughter-in-law and her grandkids and her business partner, Kurt, and Jared and I. And all of a sudden, now we could talk about Carol. And her body language did change, and it's awesome.
Go back to your previous episodes and just put on like 10x speed or 8x speed.
I'm going to do that. That's fascinating.
And watch people's body language, how they start like this, and their shoulders are up, and then they come down. And the more you see them laugh, obviously there's a direct correlation of them, they're disarming, or if you're talking about something that they feel confident in talking about, and more direct eye contact with you in the beginning. They'll like look at the camera, looking around, or
down. They look down and talk down,
or they're fiddling with their outfits to make sure they look good on camera. And the more the conversation evolves,
you know what's interesting about, so this I can look to see, and this is in a way could be a distraction. It hasn't been, but I'm aware that it's there. And if I'm really nervous about it, I can just stare at this thing. I don't have anything visible like that. I mean, the cameras are set up, but there's no screen on what the camera is showing on. That's interesting.
I never look at that. I just don't. I've gotten to where now when I'm with a guest, my focus is on you. It's attention, it's respect. Also, I've had people that are fixated with this and with what's going on to the point that one episode, Scott had to turn it off.
Yeah, well, you're 100+ reps into this thing.
Yeah,
I imagine most of the people that come here and sit across from you, this is either the first one that they've done or they haven't done many.
My average person now, it's funny because a switch has kind of gotten flipped. There's people now I have coming on that they've done several podcasts, several.
So now as your audience gains, they recognize that and they're willing to share their audience with yours.
Correct. And it's people now with millions of followers, organic, not paid for.
1 million.
And it's people now that are coming in like that. But also they might not have a monster social media audience, but man, they've got a good story to tell. Boy, they've told it. And they've told it over and over and over again, a lot of times on stages or in boardrooms or whatever. And this is the same thing, but it's more intimate and it's respectful because my phone's on Do Not Disturb. My body language is to you. My eye contact is looking at you. I'll look down sometimes because I'm putting a thought together, but that's it. It's the only time my eyes will deviate to the conversation, and that's it. And average cost for something like this, you're at about $650 to $700 an episode. Is what I'm at for, and that's filming here. That's not going anywhere else. Just for people out there looking to do this, that's the price of admission. And you should be doing one once a week. And you should be taking shorts from that and posting every day.
So you do that though, you're not at $650 anymore.
Correct.
The more you add on, the more cost, obviously. But
correct.
arguably the more return you're going to get.
Yeah. So you want it. You definitely
This is where I've not taken that next step, is the post-production shorts. And what's stopping me is the thinking through the posting regimen. And where does it go? Does it go on my page? Does it go on MDL Group's page? Who does the post? Who writes? And I know I'm got some quirks in my brain. I'm a stickler about what is said and how it's said. So it's hard for any writer to get into my brain. Again, back to who my guests are. Like when I have Jeff Fargo on, how much nuance and texture is in the question or the conversation that we're having, because it spans so many years. No one has that experience but me.
Correct.
So this is my own mental blockage.
You get a post planner. The one I use right now, I don't do post planning with it, but I love their data analytics. Sprout Social, $400 a month. So it's not cheap, but I get great analytics and data. Like it showed me on Instagram, Facebook, everything. It didn't do TikTok because my TikTok's wonky, but I was at like over 6 million impressions for 2023. When you figure in TikTok, I was over 8 million impressions for 2023. It's powerful. To have that data is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, my recommendation would be get your content done and you spend a Sunday, Saturday, whatever, and you upload all your stuff for that week and what you're going to put, and see if you're going to hypothetically post every day short form content, and your one that you drop that week as well, your long form as well, put all that in ahead of time. It's all there and then gone.
Yeah.
And the thing with Sprout Social is it'll even tell you, especially like with TikTok, or not TikTok, with YouTube, when to post, when your audience is more likely to be on. It's wonderful. So that's
Sprout Social.
Sprout Social. I'm not getting paid by them or anything. I did my homework in terms of all the different platforms, Hootsuite, all the ones that are out there that are post planners, and which ones are more likely to get you dinged by the algorithms and all that. They're held hostage by the APIs of the platform. So sometimes like I think it's maybe Sprout Social, one of them, like you can't post to your personal, but you can post to your business. So there's some access you have, some you don't. And that's offline. I can show you everything how I'm looking at it. But what I would do is just get a post on Sprout Social, and then that gives you the control over still probably 85% of it you still have. But then you just bank it all, put in that one day, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's it, my friend.
And that's it, my friend.
This has been fun.
It has been a blast.
Thank you for coming back again.
It's an honor and a pleasure, Jeff Fargo.
It's an honor and a pleasure, Hayim Mizrachi. You're the man. We're going to do this again, and I would love to do this like every quarter.
Okay.
A quarterly chat.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. We're not going to plan what we talk about, but if we were to plan what we talked about,
it'd be deadly.
It would be, all right, Fargo, where are you at with your business? What have you learned? Where have you had to pivot? It would be, hey, here's what's happening in commercial real estate right now. What else could it be?
Running, cooking meat.
Seriously, we want to hear about my stuff. Here's what we would do. We would say, all right, you bring one of your hobbies, I will bring one of my hobbies, and we're going to go deep. You tell me all the stuff about that hobby that just gets you going, and I will tell you all the stuff about either running or cooking meat.
I would take it outside of hobbies and make it, what are you passionate about?
Well, usually you're passionate about your hobbies. But it doesn't have to be a hobby.
Because my thing right now is like, I really don't have any hobbies. But
that's a thing to talk about, Jeff.
Actually, you're right. Touche. Because my hobbies are
2015.
Like Brandy, my kids, this Fargo Factor.
2015, I joined this business group called Vistage. I introduced myself to this panel of people, and one of the questions is, "What are your hobbies?" And I literally had blank. I had no hobbies. It was actually, I reflected on this deeply. I am at a point in my life in 2015 where I don't have hobbies that I can talk about. And that's not okay. It wasn't okay with me.
It's not. You're right.
And I bet if I was in that phase, others are there now or have been there too.
Yeah.
And right there, we say, let's talk about hobbies. And you say, I don't have hobbies. And we're going to talk about not having hobbies and how do you go from
I love it.
That to how do you find a hobby? How do you find what you're passionate about?
Book it 3 months from now.
Let's go.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Fargo.
I got to pee. Holy hell, I gotta pee.